distractions like real sugar in cups. Confronting with the truth, you'll say it's all a hoax. He promised to release all the Epstein files that caused all the MAGA base to react with smiles. But how long has he put it off? It sure has been a while, and now he's calling this a hoax, protecting pedophiles. A hoax, a hoax. He says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, he'll keep on gaslighting up until he croaks. Confronted with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax.
Trump piled debt, trillions tall. Promised Mexico would fund that wall. Praised dictators, said they're strong. Had Joe done it, they'd say he's wrong. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, that screen fell play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Go through crises, storms and more. Called soldiers losers who died in war. Hire his kids to run DC. If it was Hunter, they'd scream treachery. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, the numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, Fox News would say our day. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Love Kim Jong-un, he wrote love letters that take the guns first, lose those rights forever. Signed you spending bills with glee. Had Joe done that, it'd be tyranny. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they shall look today. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Kept secret files, countless untold. Said Putin's word was good as gold. Invited the Taliban to come to U.S. soil. If Joe had done that, they'd all recoil. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd want him to pay. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Double standards loud and clear. Rules for Trump, but not for peers. What they call treason, if Joe's the name, is patriotism when Donald's to blame. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd shout no way. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
This just in. A sudden spike in logic levels across the city. Citizens report seeing a man with glasses and a podcast mic.
We go now.
Live to Liberal Dan.
Yo, who you gonna call when Nazi writings on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, cause you know we got a plan. The right wing talking shit, but he ain't about to quit. He'll take his proton pack and zap your logic cause it's whack. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall.
It's being reported that Liberal Dan is setting up what appears to be some sort of straw man containment field.
He's calling out your lies with his mic, he'll vaporize. Cross the streams in your dreams, bitch, you know that he's too wise. You're like Slimer talking crap, but you walked into his trap. Yo, it's more than entertainment, it's misinformation containment. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall. The statue liberty, the writing you can see. So bring the huddled masses, it's a war of the classes. While Trump may think he's Vigo, Dan can cut through that ego. He's got the facts to prove him wrong, got that logic like Egon. Your logic is a ghost, cause you know this chick is toast. When you follow MTG, it's conspiracy, you'll see. There's no need to taser, he's got wit like Occam's razor. Liberal Dan cuts those lies with his Jewish face laser.
It's unbelievable. Liberal Dan just used the literal dog whistle to lure a large group of internet trolls into what is being called a self-collapsing rhetoric singularity. In all my years of reporting, I've never seen anything like this.
So don't call to be a heckler, you ain't no Judge Rexler. He'll bust you like Scolary, cause your logic's looking hairy. Right-wing callers think they're cool, but they sounding just like Zool. You the dog, he the man, and yo, his name is Liberal Dan. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, 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 and the rhetoric will fall. Liberal Dan, Liberal Dan, Liberal Dan.
Proclaimed king, a groper in chief, stealing our country, a crooked orange thief. For patriots who are poorly educated, wearing red hats and also unvaccinated, Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite, Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. A failing media that's barely treading water, they're too inept to fight this new world order. Corporate pigs are at the trough, hear the squeals. The swine won't bite the hands that feeds them meals. But Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite, Liberal Dan Radio, talk comes the left, that's right. A leftist voice on air, exposing MAGA treason, breaking through their lies with facts, logic, and reason, unmasking hypocrisy. The truth will be our guide. Call out their lies, justice is on our side. Cause Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite, Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right.
And welcome back to Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left. That's right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming at you from New Orleans, Louisiana. To join the conversation, join us in either one of the chats, either over on Twitch at twitch.liberaldanradio.com or at liberaldanradio.com, which is the link to the YouTube channel. Support the show, as always. Like, share, subscribe. Help the algorithm. Algor needs more rhythm. We definitely need to get some of the numbers up, I suppose. I was trying to. I thought I had like one or two good video ideas that might be like, hey, that's kind of funny. One of them posted no problem, which is the whole idea that personal responsibility or personal accountability is an idea that's so foreign to the MAGA types that they've already tried to deport it. There was one, and we'll talk about the other one in a second, because TikTok had no problem with this video, Facebook had no problem with this video, Instagram had no problem with this video, but YouTube said it can't be played anywhere, apparently, because, you know, whatever, you know, can't use fair use, I guess, to try and compare two things. So I never tried to post it up on Trump's propaganda site. I don't have an account. I don't want to have an account. I mean, trust me, there's been times where I've been like, let me go troll the fuck out of these people, but I really have no idea. No really desire to engage with the shitheads over there on Lie Social or propaganda, whatever, truth shithole, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to do it. So, hello, Can't Stop Lying. Good to see you, CSL. Thank you for joining. Appreciate the raid. Incoming raid soon. Trusted every game. Good to see you. Or Villaby. Thank you all so much for joining. Over on YouTube, we got Steve from across the pond.
It's no Scottish, it's crap.
We got Jackie, Josh, Suzanne. Hello, good to see you, Tim. Who else am I missing? Petrazi, nice to see you. Thank you for joining. Jackie, did I say Jackie? James as well. Paul carried over from House Sparks. What is the main cause of death? Life. I guess. I don't know. Aging. You know, growing old or whatever. Nick, what's up, Nick? Good to see you. YouTube gets mad at everything. Crazy libs, death threats in the comments. But if I say anything, then I get pegged and demonetized on videos I can relate. Wait, you get pegged?
Oh my.
Wait, that might be a topic for Liberal Dan Radio After Dark. But I'm glad to see you. I'm hoping to be able to get another video with the Liberal Dan Political Tower of Power with you soon. Maybe this weekend. We will see. Tomorrow, Cassie is slated to come home. So we will see how that goes. Hopefully things all go well. I'm going to wake up early in the morning, get there right for 8 o'clock, go check out to see what help I can do when it comes to, just, them teaching me what I might need to learn when it comes to her help at home. Granted, we handled most of this stuff last year, so it'll just be a refresher course, but it'll be very lovely to have my wife home finally. She still probably won't be in the same bed as me because, that requires her going upstairs, and I don't know if that's going to be something that's going to be doable in the next week or so or more, but we will see. But yes, very excited to have my wife home finally. Thank you, Jackie, for being a liberal Danimal. Thank you for joining. Appreciate the support. You too can gift subscriptions, become gift memberships, have a membership of your own, become a liberal Danimal. All the cool kids are doing it. You want to do it too. But again, even if you can't afford to pay for it, you can always still, hop on and make sure to just help the algorithm because, again, Al Gore needs more rhythm. Big Hook, do you work from home or have an office setting? I work from home. My employer is not even in the state. I think I have a couple, well, actually, I think they just entered the state as it pertains to practice of law. However, we, it's way over, I think, in the Pacific time zone, or at least the Mountain time zone. So it's not here. So I get to work from home, but just to gripe for a little bit, for a second. I put in 2 hours. I've missed a little bit of time, between going to the hospital, taking care of Cassie's needs, etc. I trying to have to make up some time that I had missed. And so I tried to do 2 hours of work yesterday to try and make sure that I can actually get it done. And then, of course, this morning, my oldest son decides that he's not going to set his alarm and miss the bus. So I had to drive him to school, so I already lost one of the hours that I was trying to make up for yesterday because I only worked 7 hours today. Was not very happy. So, James, Dan got the answer, we're all born, which means we all die someday. See, sometimes I'm a smart cookie, right? So, anywho. See, Big Hook says, hi, Highlander, is your kilt still securing the sword? I think what kind of sword are you talking about there?
Oh my.
Again, good to see Aaron, good to see Jolie, both halves of the mods squads. Trusted every game. It's always nice to hear Dan talk about his wife. It's beyond obvious he adores her. Trump could learn a lot, and I end that sentence there, to be honest. Trump could learn a lot, period, from where he is. But we're going to get to the type of husband that Donald Trump is in a little bit as well, because holy shit, the Correspondents Dinner, to me, just clearly shows why Jimmy Kimmel was probably correct when he said what he said the other day about how she looks like an anticipatory widow or something, like the glow of an anticipatory widow. Like, and he said that before Saturday happened. And I'm sitting there like, oh, he's so mean. And they're calling for Jimmy Kimmel to be, you know, oh, he needs to be fired again or whatever. Like, you know, because they don't like free speech. They like free speech when it comes to them saying shitty things about people, but when it comes to liberal folks making a joke, oh, you can't make a joke. It's terrible, terrible, terrible to make the joke. But I think we can see that from Donald Trump's actions that he is a shitty husband. I mean, we already knew he was a shitty husband. He's cheated on his wives. He, you know, always looking for the next young thing to come along. You know, I mean, I know people that have been married 3 times and, you know, not as bad as he has been, though, right? So, Chad, in all fairness, free speech isn't free in this chat either. I mean, the mods are very lenient with what they let through. But sometimes, you know, racism, anti-Semitism, crap like that, you know, the mods are going to put the kibosh on it too. But again, there's no necessarily free speech in private chat rooms or whatever like that, or even if this is a publicly available chat room, because I put the work towards this channel, and as such, it's my ability to say what I want to say, and I'm more than happy to have others say what they want to say as well. But again, the free speech that I'm talking about is, you know, how government restricting speech. So there's a big difference between one of my awesome, wonderful, beautiful, you know, intelligent mods. There's a difference between them saying, hey, you can't say this in the channel, you can't say this in chat, and muting you, and then, or deleting the comment and or muting you if you go too far, and somebody in our government trying to use their power as a governmental official to shut down speech that they don't like. That's a huge difference there. So, anyway, so, but before we do talk about all of that, though, we are going to be talking about several other things that took place in this country. And again, this may very well be a shorter show because, again, I have things that I need to get done before tomorrow morning, before Cassie comes home. So there are things that I'm going to have to take care of, like making sure the area where she's sleeping is completely safe for her to walk around, do some final spot checks to make sure that she can get in and out of the areas that she needs to get in and out of. So there's all that. Anyway, so last show we did talk about the shooting that took place at the Mall of Louisiana. Apparently, a 17-year-old Markle Lee has turned himself in to Baton Rouge police and is charged with first-degree murder and 5 counts of attempted first-degree murder. And police are still out there searching for another subject. Baton Rouge Mayor President Sid Edwards said our community was affected by a senseless act of violence that resulted in the loss of a precious 17-year-old and the wounding of several others. The 17-year-old victim has been identified as an Ascension Episcopal High School student, Martha Odom. We're here to pray for the families, he says, and your loved one. We're here today. We're ready for that to end or whatever. Governor Jeff Landry said acts like this are unacceptable in Louisiana, and parents of these offenders are just as much to blame. No, I mean, parents should be doing a better job parenting their kids, because I've seen some terrible parenting with kids saying some terrible, horrible, awful things. Thank you, Chad, for the $20 super chat. Appreciate you. Jeff Landry's like, the beginning of this failure was at home. Parents have responsibility to raise their children, to guide their children, and to intervene when things go wrong. Sure. But if you have a situation where, you know, either it's a single-parent home because, you know, the justice system has overly incarcerated black folks, or other folks in that matter, but typically black folks are the ones that tend to be overly incarcerated, much more so than, you know, the rest of the population. So when you have a justice system that's so focused on, you know, locking black people up that they really don't care about, you know, other forms of, you know, ways to make sure that people are doing the right thing and alternative types of programs that can help people get out of the cycle of violence and the cycle of crime. But conservatives are not the type to care about that sort of shit. At least elected conservatives are not the type to care about that sort of shit. But then Then what else? Hold on. I think I'm missing some of the words right there because it got... See. He says, also, parents fail and so do judges. According to him, it's the judge's fault. You see these folks working day and night arresting the same people. Y'all see the juvenile violence that goes on again and again, and he says, and yet over the last 5 years before I became governor, or 8 years while I was attorney general, I watched nothing but hug-a-thug policies in the state. Now, just a reminder here, when these folks say thug, they mean the N-word. Because that's what they use the word thug for. It's hardly ever used for anybody other than somebody who's black. So when they say thug, they mean the N-word. And of course, he was, governor. He says the last 5 years before I became governor, or 8 years while I was attorney general, I watched nothing but these policies in the state. If you were the attorney general for 8 years prior to being governor, then you're the chief law enforcement officer of the state. Then aren't you personally responsible? And shouldn't you have some manner of self-accountability as it pertains to your failures as the chief law enforcement officer and also your failures as governor? And I guess your distractions of being special envoy to Greenland, right? I mean, isn't that... Oh, that's right. As I said here and over on Blue Sky and everything, personal accountability is an idea that's so foreign to MAGA folks that, guess what? They've already tried to deport it. So the idea of a Republican ever having any sort of personal accountability, but no, they're going to blame everybody else because it's everybody else's fault that all of this stuff is going on and can't ever be the fault of the Republicans in charge. Right? I mean, they're sitting here, they control all three branches of the federal government, and they're blaming the Democrats for not having Secret Service funded because the Democrats want to make sure to not fund ICE without more safeguards on ICE's behavior. And of course, the conservatives could absolutely pass that legislation that would fund everything but ICE, but they won't because they want to blame the Democrats for their problems, their wrongdoings, because again, they refuse to ever take personal accountability for whatever it is that, they're responsible for. He says, people that go into common places and decide to engage in that type of violence, we should put them away for life. I'm done with them. It doesn't matter how old they are. Well, why didn't you do that at all for the times that you were at AG? Why didn't you do that all the times, all the other times? Right? Right? So, there's that. But then again, these people, these conservatives, are bloodthirsty. And I say that they're bloodthirsty because they don't just want to lock these people up for prison. They are definitely pro-death penalty, and they're pro-using the death penalty as for more things than just what we currently have it for today. And they want to expand options for the death penalty, including the Justice Department now saying that they want to allow firing squads for executions to ramp up capital punishment. Again, because MAGA is a death cult. MAGA is a bunch of bloodthirsty pieces of crap. And this is what comes with getting Donald Trump as president. A move towards firing squads. Justice Department will adopt firing squads as a permitted method of execution as the Trump administration moves to ramp up and expedite capital punishment cases. Because nobody's in prison unjustly, right? Nobody ever gets exonerated except for Donald Trump, who claims he's exonerated. More on that in a little bit. But no one ever gets exonerated for their crimes, as we saw with Attorney General Liz Muriel, as it pertained to Calvin Duncan and his being the incoming clerk of court, or one of the clerk of courts, the clerk of court office that you're trying to get rid of. And they couldn't possibly, they didn't even like the fact that he said that he was exonerated when the judges said, hey, your new evidence is here. You shouldn't have been convicted. Boom, there you go, done. So the Justice Department is also reauthorizing use of single drug lethal injections with pentobarbital that used to carry out 13 executions during the first Trump administration, more than any president in modern history. The Biden administration removed pentobarbital from the federal protocol over concerns of the unnecessary pain and suffering for doing so. The moves were announced as part of a broader push to step up federal executions after a moratorium under the Biden administration. Only 3 defendants remain on federal death row after Democratic President Joe Biden converted 37 of the sentences to life in prison, though the Trump administration has so far authorized seeking death sentences against 44 defendants. Of course, it's often much more expensive to actually do a death penalty. It's usually cheaper to just let them sit in jail if they have life sentences. And if the benefit of a life sentence is if you get it wrong, you can just release them from prison. But if you get it wrong, if you realize you've gotten it wrong after somebody gets shot or shot up with some drugs that would, cause them to be unalived, as you have to say on TikTok or whatever, if that's the case, then you can't just resurrect them and fix your mistake. That's one of the problems. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm completely 100% anti the death penalty, but you have to be 100% sure that the person did what they did and meant to do it and shows no remorse, etc. Like, done. Like, I would have no problem, like, taking, like, Osama bin Laden died, but if he would have tried him here for the crimes that he participated in against this country when it comes to 9/11, I'd have had no problem with the death penalty there, right? So, but a lot of other cases, it's usually just let them serve life imprisonment for capital cases, just in case you happen to get it wrong, because there's been too many examples of where this country has gotten it wrong. So, but why do we say that, MAGA is a death cult, that MAGA, is against exonerations, it doesn't want to give anybody even the opportunity to have exonerations? Well, all you have to do is look at Donald Trump in and of himself. Central Park 5. After DNA evidence and a confession led to the exoneration of the Central Park 5, Trump publicly maintained that the original convictions were justified, including in later interviews, became one of the most cited examples of skepticism by Donald Trump towards exonerations. Let's see, in 1989, again, he took out the full-page newspaper ad calling for the return of the death penalty, saying, "Bring back the death penalty, bring back our police." Even after the exoneration, he continued to express doubt. In a 2014 interview, he said they admitted they were guilty despite the convictions being vacated and evidence contradicting the confessions. In 2016, he again said that they should have been locked up. They were guilty. This is one of the most prominent modern examples, again, of a political figure rejecting a widely accepted exoneration. But also, Trump has also emphasized a strong trust in police and prosecutors no matter what, and except for when, it's the police and prosecutors that are going after him. And the idea that reversing convictions can undermine law enforcement, aka if you dare to reverse a conviction even when you got it wrong, that somehow this undermines law enforcement. I don't know what kind of idiot thinks that, but we already know that Donald Trump is an idiot, so we know that he is an idiot who thinks that. So he casts doubt on wrongful conviction claims, even when contrasted with the advocacy groups that are highlighting systemic errors that exist, like the Innocence Project. Trump has also argued that the death penalty process takes too long. In speeches and in public remarks, he has criticized the so-called endless appeals and delays, suggesting that execution should happen more quickly after conviction, which again, he's a bloodthirsty piece of shit and only, and will just, doesn't care if he happens to cause somebody to die who shouldn't be dying. Again, during his presidency, federal executions resumed after a 17-year pause. The federal government carried out 13 executions in about 6 months. It was framed as restoring enforcement of existing law and delivering timely justice. A speedy justice system is for the benefit of the people who are the accused, not for the people accusing. So when we say that people have a right to a speedy trial, it's not the government that has a right to the speedy trial. It's the individual who has the right to not be locked up forever, waiting for his trial to happen. Now, of course, people who are waiting for a trial can still waive their right to a speedy trial if they need to push things back to be able to put up an effective defense against whatever the prosecution is saying, but it can't be the government causing the person to have a slow-ass trial without that person consenting to it. Trump has proposed expanding the death penalty to new crimes, death penalty for certain drug traffickers, and expanded use of capital punishment for mass shooters. In the 2018, the opioid crisis remarks, he said that the U.S. should consider policies similar to countries that execute drug dealers, stating that toughness would deter crime. Of course, you know, or it's just going to increase the price of drugs and make it more expensive to get them, which will cause more crime when people try to afford the money to be able to get the drugs in the first place. And then while direct legislation, it's not direct legislation at the state level, Trump's rhetoric has reinforced policies at reducing barriers to capital punishment, broader law enforcement approaches that will prioritize swift punishment. So on exonerations, Trump's shows willingness to question or reject exonerations, even in high-profile cases that have strong evidence. And on capital punishment, Donald Trump wants wider and faster use and implementation of capital punishment with fewer procedural delays. So you wonder why I might question why Donald Trump's, you know, oh, we need to bring back firing squads, and we need to bring back these other drugs that can be used to, you know, execute people more effectively or whatever. Again, it's just a bloodthirsty thing. And I liked it because a lot of the times these are Christian conservatives or conservatives in general who are religious conservatives who want to say, oh, well, eye for an eye. You know, doesn't the Bible say an eye for an eye? Yeah, the Bible does say an eye for an eye. However, according to Jewish law, when you had the Sanhedrin, you had the, I think I have that right, it's been a while since I've had a Hebrew school class, but you had the high court in ancient Israel. And you did have an eye for an eye, but it was said that if you had one death penalty over the course of 70 years, it was considered a so-called bloody court. So even with the Old Testament, as Christians would refer to it, just the Torah, as us Jews would say, even though the Torah, the Bible, our Bible, even though it says specifically that you can have an eye for an eye, there is also the idea that the use of the death penalty should be used very, very, very sparingly, and somehow you will then look down on those courts who do pass at least one death penalty conviction or whatever, or punishment over the course of 70 years. So if you are a conservative Christian who wants to argue that we should still keep up to what the Old Testament says, which is, you know, varies from commandment to commandment, because in the Torah there are 613 commandments, and the Christian conservatives often pick and choose which ones should still be valid and which ones should not be valid. Like, you know, all the ones telling you how you can, you know, own slaves and buy slaves and the rules on slavery, whatever, those are inconvenient truths to them. You know, oh, but, you know, thou shalt not sleep with a, you know, man as if you do with a woman. That's okay, but oh, you can eat bacon though. You can eat shellfish. You can have crawfish or crab or whatever. That's fine, even though that's against the Torah. But then they'll, you know, you can't mix two types of fabrics. But they'll quote this other law. And then they'll want to put 10 of them up on the school walls, you know, even though we have a prohibition of state-sponsored religion. Well, yeah, atrocious. Jesus overturned eye for an eye in the Sermon on the Mount. But again, that's an inconvenient truth to Christians who are the Christian conservatives who are bloodthirsty, who want to just cause death and mayhem and destruction and kill everybody that they don't agree with, while then being critical of, you know, supposed Muslims who will say, oh, kill the infidels or whatever. You're doing the exact same fucking thing, because every conservative accusation tends to be a confession, right? So, anyway. But let's get back to the main story of the day that we would like to be talking about, which is the fact that Saturday night we had a situation where the Correspondents' Dinner was interrupted by a person with a gun. And of course, a few days before, as we already discussed, Jimmy Kimmel made a comment that Melania claimed was hateful and violent rhetoric. And she's saying it after the fact. You know, basically saying that Melania Trump has the glow of an expectant widow. That's what, you know, he said. Of course, you can agree with him, you could disagree with him, you can agree with him saying it, you could disagree with him saying it. That's fine. But nobody in the government should be shutting people up. that is a violation of the First Amendment. That is a violation of actual free speech rights, because government shall not infringe your right to free speech. And so they're trying to get people fired because they say things that are mean, even though Donald Trump says mean and hateful shit all the time. You know, hello, Robert Mueller dying? Robert Mueller dies. He has no problem with saying mean, hateful shit. Any other person who he disagrees with dies. He has no problem with saying mean, hateful shit. Donald Trump calls, you know, the people on the other side of the aisle the enemy within. It's okay to conservatives for him to call us the enemies. But if we dare suggest that he might be one too, it's mean, hateful shit that, you know, we're the bad guys. We're not allowed to say horrible things about the president, but he can say, sure as hell, say a whole bunch of horrible things. Oh, and then they'll make all sorts of excuses. They'll bend over backwards or forwards for this guy to make sure that they'll justify whatever the shit he says. Again, our First Lady Melania is here. He says, so beautiful, Mrs. Trump. You have a glow like an expectant. We know, again, he was kind of mocking, holding a faux roast that you might have used to seeing at most of the White House Correspondents Dinners that were freaking brilliant when they happened. But Donald Trump is too much of a chicken shit to actually have people roasting him, because all you needed to do was see the comments that were made, like by Obama and was it President Obama's White House Correspondent Dinners, anybody else who would sit there and make Trump the brunt of their jokes. Just like they were making everybody else the brunt of their jokes. They're making fun of Obama. They would make fun of Biden. They make fun of everybody. No holds barred, so to speak. But Donald Trump is too much of a chicken shit to be able to handle any sort of criticism, and he's going to shut you down if you say mean things about him. Again, the same group of people who's like, oh, the liberals don't like Donald Trump because he says mean tweets. But then, you know, when people say mean things about him, they then say that these people should be fired because, again, hypocrisy is a conservative prerequisite. And then, of course, they say, oh, a coward, Kimmel hides behind ABC because he knows the network will keep running cover to protect him. Enough is enough. It's time for ABC to take a stand. How many times will ABC's leadership enable Kimmel's atrocious behavior at the expense of our community? How many times are you going to enable your own husband's atrocious behavior and make justifications for that at the expense of our entire nation and our world standing? You don't dare speak up because that's your gravy train. We all know why you married Donald Trump. It's not for his good looks. Not one bit. It's because he's rich and wealthy and you get the power that comes along with being rich and wealthy. So that's my opinion. That's probably most everybody's opinion. I don't believe that there's love there. Nobody with a brain believes there's love there. Atrocious in every game. Atrocious behavior. And I took that personally. Exactly. No problem, CSL. It's fine. And if for some reason I end more quickly CSL before he comes in, that's also fine too. Again, I might be ending the show earlier than normal simply because of the fact that, you know, I have to prepare the rest of what needs to happen in the house for Cassie to come home tomorrow. So, Chad, I don't think he should be fired, but if he's going to give it, he shouldn't be crying about what other people say about how horrible it is. It goes with this. Has Jimmy Kimmel been crying about how horrible it is? Are people saying that his comments are horrible? I'm sure he hasn't. But what we all should be saying is that the president, the first lady, the people who are in government should not be using their power in government to shut down speech. See, Jolie, I'd never survive if I couldn't handle laughs at my expense. My daughters are ruthless. Nice. I'd love to see the daughters, what the daughters have to say or whatever. I mean, he complains about what MAGA says because he's criticizing them because he's making fun of them. But he's not. Is he advocating for the government to come down and shut people up who disagree with Jimmy Kimmel? I don't think so. If you have an example of that, email me, liberaldanradio@gmail.com, and I'll be more than happy to take a look. And I'll call Jimmy Kimmel out for his hypocrisy. If he's saying that other people should be fired for what they say, except for maybe Trump. I mean, I could imagine him making that rhetorical point. If Trump says I should be fired for what I say, well, why shouldn't Trump be fired for what he says? Then again, saying that Donald Trump should be fired for what he says is because the fact that he's, you know, fucking abusing his power. So it's not really what it's saying, it's what he's doing with what he says. Jimmy Kimmel doesn't have power. He just has a TV slot, and makes, money because he says jokes. Donald Trump is able to use what he tweets out, what he posts on the propaganda truth shithole website or whatever. He uses that to enrich himself and to, be a president and lead by tweet, if you will. So, again, I'm not seeing the point, Chad. I'm really not seeing the point that you're trying to make, because what Trump is doing and what Melania and what the Trumps are doing is trying to get somebody fired for saying what they're saying. And criticizing that is not hypocrisy. It's just like the paradox of intolerance. Like, we can be intolerant of the people who are intolerant, and that's not an example of us being intolerant ourselves. It's not a hypocritical thing. It's the fact that the people who are intolerant, who are racist, bigots, etc., those people have failed to sign into the social contract that we should be tolerant of everybody, and as such, you are not protected by the social contract because you're rejecting it. That's the point of the paradox of intolerance. So, but yeah. But again, fast forward from what Jimmy Kimmel said to the actual Saturday night, and you had the shooting, or the attempted shooting. You had somebody meandering into this hotel with absolutely lax security measures. And again, I'm going to say this is there's one of two possibilities. Maybe there's a third possibility. Maybe there's a fourth. I don't know. But either you have the situation where it's Donald Trump's a coward, the Secret Service is inept, and, this is all just one big giant shit show with a cowardly president and inept Secret Service, or this is a false flag. And conservatives will be like, oh, why are you calling it a false flag? This person made $25 contribution to Kamala Harris back in the day. Ooh, 25 whole bucks, really? I mean, Donald Trump also supported Democrats back in the day too, and you're so far up his ass, you can taste the taco bowl. So don't tell me that one contribution to a politician means that you are some dyed-in-the-wool leftist crazy. Oh, but I guess it's the hypocrisy there is fine too, right? Because they'll make excuses for Trump. If he makes a contribution, oh, he was doing it as a smart business person. This person, must be a domestic terrorist because he gave $25 to the Harris campaign. Of course, it's brilliant when we saw Nora O'Donnell, was it on 60 Minutes, when she was basically talking, and she was basically, saying, reading from the manifesto, and Trump's, and basically saying, what is it? He said something to the effect of, oh, I can't, all these problems with this pedophile, rapist, etc. And Donald Trump's like, I've been exonerated from being a pedophile, being a rapist. And Nora O'Donnell was like, oh, you think he was talking about you? Again, because hit dogs holler, as Andrew Gillum once said. But, let's talk about the security lapses. Let's say this is just a matter of an inept Secret Service with a cowardly president. And he absolutely is a cowardly president. We'll get to that in a second. Major security lapses that took place Saturday night when 31-year-old Cole Thomas Allen was, able to get in there with his guns. Weak checkpoint design. The security screening area was set in a straight line with no serpentine barriers, allowing the suspect to have a clear runway to sprint through metal detectors with multiple weapons. Lack of elite support. The dinner was not designated a national special security event, meaning specialized counter-assault teams were not on standby to stop a breach. Checkpoint complacency. Staff was reportedly not paying close attention because the dinner had already started and they did not expect more guests to arrive. Easy building access. Allen had checked into the Washington Hilton the day before and simply walked down 10 flights of stairs from his room to reach the lobby near the ballroom. Basic screening failures. Hey, Sparklers, good to see y'all. 107 y'all over on Twitch. Thank you for joining Liberal Dane Radio. Talk from the left, that's right. Appreciate y'all. I'm anticipating the Sparkler raid coming in on the YouTube side any second now. We again have been started talking about the whole debacle from Saturday, And one of the things that we are saying here is that either, again, we have a cowardly president with an inept Secret Service, or that this was a false flag. So, again, any conservative that wants to complain about me using that term, well, y'all have used it all the live long day. Why can't we for this one particular thing, right? So again, weak checkpoint design, lack of elite support because it wasn't designated a national special security event, checkpoint complacency, staff weren't paying close attention because the dinner had already started, easy building access, thank you for the follow, appreciate you. And then basic screening failures. Reports indicate that guests' IDs were not checked against an official list. Some invitations were simply paper printouts for, paper tickets, and they weren't actually checking the tickets against the IDs. So you could have easily printed up your own version or had one photocopied. It could have been very easy to do that. Once shots were fired, the evacuation of high-level officials proved difficult because of the room's layout. The subterranean ballroom was packed with over 1,000 guests, forcing agents to climb over tables and chairs to reach the people who they're protecting. Struggling protectees, Trump reportedly resisted agents in an effort to move him, insisted on seeing what was happening before eventually being rushed out, and then inconsistent timing. Some people were removed immediately while others were left waiting for several minutes, including, for example, what I immediately saw, and a lot of people have noticed this as well, was that J.D. Vance was evacuated before Donald Trump. Now, isn't it the job of Secret Service first and foremost to protect the president and his family first and foremost before protecting anybody else, like protecting Trump, protecting Melania, protecting all of those people before getting Vance out? No, they got Vance out there pretty damn quickly. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he saw a couch in the background and think, oh, well, I need to go take cover by that couch. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Say no more, right? No problem with that. But, it is what it, that's Trump's line.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. But then again, I'm also sitting here and saying that, Donald Trump is 100% a coward. He is 100% a chicken shit. Why? Because when it was obvious that there was something going on, he might have fought Secret Service because he wanted to see what was going on, but he sure as hell didn't fight Secret Service getting him away from his wife. If I was sitting there at some sort of event and I thought that there was a shooting, I would do everything in my part to cover my wife, to cover my family, and to protect her and protect them. And most people who are reasonable, decent spouses would try as hard as possible to protect their spouses. And if I was president and the Secret Service was trying to shove me out, I'd be like, not without my wife. You are taking Melania with you, and we are both going together. Period. End of story. But again, this is just a marriage of convenience, right? And we all know why they're married, right? It's not about love. There's no love there. I don't see any love. I don't see any affection there. Not one bit. But can you imagine? Can you absolutely imagine what might have happened if President Biden was sitting there at an event and, they were trying to get him away and just left Jill Biden behind? Can you imagine the response of MAGA?
Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, the screen fell play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
So yeah, I absolutely, sit here and if Joe Biden or any other Democratic president would have done anything like that, the conservatives would have insulted them for not being a loving not being a loving husband, not being a loving partner, not being somebody who cared about their spouse, and just letting their spouse just be out there in the middle of the shit while they went and hid in safety. Look, I don't begrudge Secret Service for trying to protect the president, even though they protected Vance first. I don't begrudge that. That's their job to do. I begrudge the president for not insisting that his wife be brought along. It said she had to crawl out of there and hide behind herself, right? Right? Shouts out to all the sparklers in both chats again. Shouts out again to CSL for bringing everybody over here. Shouts out to everybody who's come in from the Sparkler Raid over on YouTube as well. Teresa, good to see you. I can't necessarily say hi to everybody who's come in from the chat. Orb Rumor, good to see you. Feet on the dashboard. Smoky Mirror, thank you for the bits, Alyosher. Appreciate you as always. Good to see you, Andrea. Thank you, Andrea. And Susie for bringing everybody along for the ride. So I definitely appreciate every single one of you for helping grow the show. And if you are on YouTube right now, 167 current viewers, 45 likes, please make sure to smash that like button. And if you have not subscribed to the show already, please do so. Because we definitely want to have this show grow. For some reason, we've kind of stalled still a little bit on growth here, and the only way it's going to help is by all the Danimals, all the Sparklers, everybody else coming together, all the members of the Sparklerverse, and not just help me grow. We need to help everybody grow. From Trucker John, Boston Brian, all the Sparklerverse needs to have a rising tide to raise all of our ships. Be they getting Hal to 100,000, be it getting me to 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, getting Boston Brian, Trucker John, etc. Everybody needs to have more subscribers, which means everybody needs to help the algorithm because, as I say here in Liberal Dan Radio, talk from left, that's right, Al Gore needs more rhythm. So, see if I miss anybody else who has said hello, hello. Mud, good to see you. Karen, good to see you. Jan, good to see you, another member of the J Squad. If I haven't said hello, it's just everything's scrolling a little too fast to say hello. Yes, Cosmic Rose. Thank you, Cosmic Rose. One of the top clippers, if the not top clipper, over on Twitch. And I would love to have a nice birthday present of hitting maybe 2,000 by my birthday. That would be a lovely thing to have if I can get 2,000, getting to 2,000 subs by May 20th, which is my birthday. Yeah, I'm trying to put content out there that's going to be great, right? Trying to put out content that's going to be helpful, that people are going to enjoy, that people are going to like, etc. But you know, it happens, and it is what it is. But there's a video, though, pertaining to after the fact, after what happened on Saturday night. Donald Trump comes here, and he has some remarks to make about how, you know, risky his job is. Let's go ahead and play this clip right here, and then we'll make some comments on it, because there's a problem with YouTube. If you follow me on Facebook, if you follow me at Liberal Dan Radio on Facebook, if you follow me on Instagram, and if you follow me on TikTok, you will have already seen this, the whole video that I want to do, and the whole point that I wanted to make here. Yeah, Donald Trump afterwards.
Nobody told me this was such a dangerous profession. If Marco would have told me, maybe I wouldn't have run.
Damn it, Marco, why didn't you frickin' tell him that it was so dangerous? And then maybe he wouldn't have run then. It's so dangerous, and people shoot at me all the time, and I don't like it, you know. But, you know, I left Melania out hanging, but I can always, like frickin' Walder Frey from Game of Thrones. He probably sat there and thought, oh, it doesn't matter if, you know, Melania guys, he'll just find another. Just like from the Red Wedding. Except this one wasn't as bloody as the Red Wedding, right? So, anyway, let's see what little Marco had to say, and he should have told me that this is dangerous, but he didn't.
Maybe I would have said, I'll take a pass. No, it's a dangerous profession.
I'll take a pass as opposed to passing the gas like I normally do in my diapers. It just depends.
But I don't view it that way. Look, I'm here to do a job.
That's not the only thing that's crooked there, Suzanne, but yes, the bow tie is a little crooked.
It's part of the job. It is a dangerous, I can't imagine that there's any profession that's more dangerous.
The Secret Service, who are responsible for protecting you, could very well be a little bit more dangerous than actually your position, right? And they have to risk their lives protecting the world's biggest piece of shit to ever serve in the presidency. So yeah, that's a more dangerous job than you fucking being president. But, you know, as old Trumpy boy says,
it is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. Anyway, let's continue with Donald Trump and what he has to say about the danger.
But I love the country, and I'm very proud. I'm very proud of
Yeah.
the job we've done. You see what's happened. We have a great country. We've got, I think, the most successful, the hottest country.
I was just about to.
This
I was
happened over
literally
a
just
period
about
of-
to say, because I didn't watch this whole part. I just watched a clip of it. It's the hottest country in all the world. We've got everything. Dan Cortez and everything.
Just a year, and we're going to do great things. But with that come risks. There's no question about it. Yeah. Nobody told me this was such a.
Oh, wait, that's actually the wrong video. God damn it. That's not the. So then he goes on later, starts talking about, people who do this job, maybe 1/10 of 1%, 1 out of 10 out of 1 out of 10. Those people have problems. But, the president, 6.3%. It's not as, it's more dangerous. And when it comes to getting shot at, it's 8%. So it's more dangerous. It's like sitting there doing some bizarre math. Not quite the math of if something goes from $600 to $100, that's a 600% decrease. Not that stupidity of the math, because that's also horrible math. But the thing that I wanted to share on YouTube was, I don't know how many of y'all watch professional wrestling, but there is a famous clip from TNA Wrestling from Scott Steiner, and it's called Steiner Math. So go follow, go to my Facebook page if you have Facebook. If you have TikTok, go there. If you have Instagram, go there. But I can't play this video on YouTube because the Steiner Math clip automatically gets the video taken down. Automatically. This is a violation of copyright. You can't use it, even though I'm just using it as fair use to compare Trump's math to Steiner math. And basically, I don't have the whole thing memorized, but it's like, when you have a match, you have a normal 50-50%. You might have 50% chance of beating me, but he's a genetic freak, or Scott Steiner is a genetic freak, so therefore his chances become 66, becomes 2/3%. So 66 and 2/3%, as opposed to the 33% this other person has. So, and then if you're in a triple threat match, this one person in a triple threat match, has not even going to try at all. So then you take the 33% and then subtract the 25% of chance that you would normally have, and that's a 16% chance of winning. Then you take his 66% chance of winning and then add the 50% chance of winning. You have 117 and 2/3% chance of him winning the match. So that's how crazy that math was, or whatever. And it's a viral clip, and it's often been cited. But you'll see the comparison of the two between Donald Trump's math and then the math of old Donnie Boy or old Scott Steiner. And so you can figure out for yourself which math makes the least sense, right? So, yeah, and again, you're going to have conservatives who are going to sit here and start complaining over the fact that I'm sitting here saying that it could very well be a false flag. So why do we think that it might be a false flag here? Why do we think that it's not just Donald Trump being a coward and Secret Service being completely inept? Well, they let it happen up to a point, and then they stopped him, right? It came through, it happened. The person was granted access. There's some rumblings that they might have actually had warnings that this was going to happen, and he still was in the hotel. There's that. There's the fact that when everybody was ducking for cover, that Trump and the people up on the stage were just kind of sitting there looking around. And then even when some of the other people on the stage started ducking down, Trump's still looking around like, oh, this is nothing. You had somebody telling was it Caroline Leavitt's husband that apparently told Fox News that you should be careful. You need to be careful because something could go down or something like that, like giving warning. And then somebody calls into Fox News and that phone call was abruptly hung up on. The call just completely disappeared. You don't want to have anybody revealing the truth about it, right? You can't have the false flag be revealed. And then there's the timing of like immediately everybody's like, this is why we need a ballroom. This is why we need the ballroom in the East Wing of the White House. This is why we need this Trump vanity project, because you wouldn't have such a thing, if it would have happened at a private ballroom. Of course, why if hotel ballrooms are so not secure and so not safe, then why are they still holding events at Mar-a-Lago? Why are they still housing people at Mar-a-Lago? Why are they still doing things at Mar-a-Lago if hotels are not a safe place to be? Hasn't stopped Trump from, going to was it Madison Square Garden for a UFC event? There was no problem there. He had no problem going there everywhere. He's just using this sort of stuff. You know, again, it might very well just simply be that he is inept. It might simply very well be that Secret Service is inept and that he's just simply a coward and clueless. It might very well just be all that. I'm not saying it has to be a false flag. But what I'm saying is that when you sit here and you have this concerted message where everybody's circling around this idea that this is why we need the ballroom, it starts not passing the smell test. And then you have 3 attempts at Trump, and none of them work. Like, again, that just opens the door to more speculation as to whether or not this is real, legitimate, or whether this is not. Again, I was watching Trucker John's show the other day, and he was sitting there talking about whether or not we believe the first shooting from July of 2024, whether that, you know, was a conspiracy or not. And I was like, look, there would have to be a lot of things that would have to go down in order or proof that would have to be shown for me to say this is completely 100% a false flag thing as well. You know, are there fishy things? Absolutely. Again, we've talked about Evander Holyfield. First time I met Evander Holyfield, I shook his hand, and while I was shaking his hand, I checked out the little nub that was bitten out of his ear by Mike Tyson, and guess what? It hadn't grown back. How did Trump's magically grow back? That's why he's called Miracle Ear, right? Because his cartilage has magically grown back. Right? I mean, you'd think that Donald Trump, if he had that there, he'd probably say, I don't know, I'm 50-50 on whether or not Donald Trump would want a little nib taken out of his ear and to show, this is what happened to me when I risked my life for the American people. This is what happened. See my ear. He'd be constantly pointing at his ear. Or if he would view him being injured as a sign of weakness and as such then want to get some plastic surgery on his ear or whatever to try and get that fixed. I don't know. But, Jennifer, so he could compare himself to Van Gogh, right? Exactly, fan said, using the incompetence of the security to try and go with it. And again, is it the incompetence of the security, or is it the purposeful nature to make security look incompetent so that he could justify building his vanity project of a ballroom, so that he can justify more harsh measures as it pertains to dealing with Americans and putting forth, you know, horrible policies that are going to punish more and more people for, you know, speaking out against this president. Again, that's why I'm not sitting here saying it absolutely has to be incompetence. I'm saying it could have been purposefully done. And again, for all these people to come out and talk about now that we have the necessity that we have to get together and get this ballroom built. All these people coming on, not like, you know, if that's your main focus, that makes me question the focus altogether. That makes me question the motives here and what was going on behind the scenes. Did they know that they could that something might have... Is it like a Benjamin Netanyahu thing from 10/7 where they knew that an attack was going to happen and they thought it was better to allow the attack to happen and then respond to it as opposed to stopping the attack from ever happening? Did Donald Trump take a lesson from Benjamin Netanyahu? So, yeah, maybe it wasn't specifically a false flag, but it was still allowed to happen if they had forewarning that something's going to happen. They basically, okay, let's get as far as we can without risking the president's life. Then we're going to pretend the president's life is risk, put him, you know, in prison, use him to justify more draconian measures as it pertains to security, and to justify other things, again, like building the ballroom vanity project. Of course, today we also had Caroline Leavitt sitting there having a little, one of her little shit shows and updating everybody about what happened that night. So I haven't seen this part. I haven't seen this video whatsoever. So wanted to make sure. But before we get to that, we do want to go over, because again, I said, you know, conservatives love to throw around the idea of a false flag, but I'm sure they will complain and cry and bitch and moan, etc. when we say that this could very well have been a false flag. 2018 pipe bombing attempts. In October 2018, explosive devices were mailed to prominent Democrats and critics of then-President Trump. Examples of various right-wing figures suggested that bombs were a liberal hoax or a false flag to harm the Republicans in midterm elections. Donald Trump Jr. liked a tweet calling the incidents fake bombs made to scare and pick up blue sympathy votes. Ann Coulter, Rush Limbaugh, James Woods, and Michael Savage were all noted for amplifying these narratives. Fox Business News host, Fox News Business, whatever, Lou Dobbs referred to them as fake bombs in a tweet. Of course, the Capitol riot, the insurrectionists that took place who were Trump supporters trying to stop the certification of the election in 2021, January 6, 2021. Numerous Republican officials and media figures suggested the attack was instigated by opponents, not Trump supporters. The Oregon Republican Party published a resolution alleging the attack was a false flag designed to discredit President Trump and his supporters. All Large Marge Taylor Greene, Old 6B, Old MTG, and other people promoted theories that the attack was staged by either Antifa or the FBI. Revolver News pushed a theory that federal informants or agents played a major role in the attack. That, of course, Parkland, Sandy Hook, and others. Alex Jones notoriously suggested that the 2012 Sandy Hook elementary school shooting was an elaborate hoax and that the victims were crisis actors, leading to significant defamation lawsuits. Again, MTG previously claimed that several school shootings were false flags, which caused David Hogg to approach her and question about this multiple times. And Rush Limbaugh said that the 2019 New Zealand mosque shootings might be a false flag attack by leftists to try and smear conservatives. And of course, when Paul Pelosi was attacked in his house, they questioned the official narrative. Elon Musk posted to a link to a conspiracy theory about the incident that was later removed. Dinesh D'Souza suggested on Twitter that the attack was a form of a false flag or intentional misrepresentation. Candace Owens has accused Israel of false flags in 2026. I mean, I can potentially see the Israeli government pushing some false flag ideas too, so I don't know if she's 100% wrong. I mean, she is a Hitler-loving, Nazi sympathizer when it comes to her comments about Adolf Hitler, but, there you go. And of course, far-right influencers have been linked to spreading false flag claims about the shootings in Uvalde, in Buffalo, in El Paso, Dayton, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they can make all these claims about things being false flags, but, imagine had Joe Biden try to say that an attack was a false flag.
Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, the screen fell play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
And of course, Donald Trump says that everything is a hoax. So why can't this be a hoax too?
A modern Don Quixote, he hates the windmills, claiming to protect the birds and whales he says they kill. But don't believe that story, it's really just a shill. He just did not want to see them wild golfing on Scottish hills.
Distant Galaxy 13 says there's enough MAGA elements within the Secret Service to go along with Trump. I believe it. It makes it even more and more plausible that would happen. Of course, if you liked those two songs, the Had Biden Done It and the Hoax and all the other songs that are available on liberaldanradio.com, the parody playlist, including the Sparklerverse one that Hal played on the show, you can check those out. You can also go to Spotify, and I have several of the Liberal Dan Radio original songs up on Spotify as well. Just as a reminder, by the way, in 8 days, we'll be having a special Tuesday episode of Liberal Dan Radio Talk from Left, That's Right. Normally, we're here Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, with Wednesday being the original show date of 8 p.m. Central. But we also expanded the show to Mondays and then expanded it again to Thursdays. So we're now 3 days a week, 8 p.m., typically Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Now, next week, we are going to have a special Tuesday episode on Taco Tuesday and Cinco de Mayo with a special surprise to start off the show. So you do not want to miss this show. What you subscribe to the show, put notifications on, select all notifications. You're not going to want to miss this show, especially Atrocious at Every Game. To Distant Galaxy 13, Agent Orange is a chaos agent. He stirs up enough hate to have some coming back to him. It's exhausting. We don't get to focus on real issues that affect us. Yeah, and I've said that as well. Like, hate begets hate. Donald Trump is a hateful human being. he puts hate out into the world, and he shouldn't be surprised that the hate comes back to him multiple times, multiple fold, 10-fold, 100-fold, etc. See, Jennifer, I missed it, getting a drink, having a bad day at work or whatever. No, it's not the Liberal Dan After Dark show. Again, Liberal Dan After Dark would have already started had it not been for the fact that my wife had to go to the hospital. We would have already started. We do have a theme song for Liberal Dan After Dark, don't get me wrong. That theme song is ready to go. We already have the theme song. I've tried to make a video, but it hasn't worked. The video head just comes up terrible. I can't do that. But, and it's not a who, atrocious at every game. You're barking up the wrong tree with that one. It's not a who. But, again, you're just not going to want... And if you are late, maybe I'll show whatever it is that I'm going to show at the beginning of the show at the end as well. But again, we'll see. You'll have to wait and see. The mods know about it. The mods aren't going to get to see it. Or the mods aren't going to let y'all see it and know too early. Tuesday. It's going to be next Tuesday. Cinco de Mayo, May 5th. Yes, it's not a who. Cinco de Mayo, May 5th is going to be a special Tuesday episode of Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, that's right. And it's... the only hint I'll say, it's Cinco de Mayo is the reason. We're just going to put it that way. That might be even too much of a hint. But just, you don't want to be late to the Tuesday. We're not going to be... Again, we're not doing it Monday. So we're going to skip Monday and go on to Tuesday. And I will remind y'all both Wednesday and Thursday, and I'll post on YouTube and all over my social media channels, again, that we will not be having a show Monday, and instead we'll be having a show Tuesday. Again, you're not going to want to miss it. It's great. Thank you, Jolie, for giving the links to how to support the show. We have the Liberal Dan Radio store where you can buy an FDT. You can buy Al Gore Needs More Rhythm shirt. You can buy a Man of La MAGA shirt because of Donald Trump hating windmills.
A modern Don Quixote, he hates the windmills, claiming to protect the birds and whales he says they kill. But don't believe that story, it's really just a shill. He just did not want to see them wild golfing on Scottish hills.
So it's not a who, I can tell you my conjecture. I thought you were interviewing Hunter. Oh, I would love to fucking interview Hunter Biden. Abso-fucking-lutely. But that's not happening. That's not. If I had a special guest that would be coming on the show that was especially that high nature or whatever, I would absolutely be like, this person is going to be on my show this day, this time, don't miss it. I would not tease that. I would absolutely share the fuck out of that because I would want everybody to come in because I'm not going to give up. I wouldn't give up the opportunity to get more subscriptions based on a very good special guest. We're still working on getting Hal back on the show. It'll happen at some time soon. I know. It's just a matter of when. But can't wait for this tweet. Happy Cinco de Mayo to the lame street media, the crazy liberals, and even the bad hombres. I'm going to have a taco bowl. I love the taco bowls at Trump Tower. They're the best taco bowls. No one's had taco bowls any better. They're taco bowls like you've never seen. So, anywho. Wait, fifth ad telling you to take a test to check my childhood trauma? Wait, are you getting actual, like, ads during the show? Did I inadvertently hit the wrong button? Are you actually seeing ads? Or what's going on? Because it's weird, because I normally don't have ads running up during the show. I mean, you're a subscriber, so you shouldn't see ads at all, but I don't know, maybe it's just on the side? I'm not sure. Let's see. There's a choice of a game. Jamie Harrison followed me on Blue Sky. He interviewed Hunter. I didn't want to message him because it's weird, but maybe he can help get in touch with Hunter. Hey, maybe. Never know. Again, I really want to have Joe Biden on. I really want to have President Biden on because I simply would love to have a conversation with him about my grandparents because they would have been, again, they would have loved to have been able to see him become president because they were huge supporters of him all his life. All of his political life, I should say. But again, I'm not holding my breath. I don't think I'm big enough to get Joe Biden on my podcast, to get Joe Biden on the show. Then again, I never thought I was big enough to get Hal on my show or John Fugelsang on my show, and both of those just fell in my lap. So, you know, sometimes stranger things have happened, right? So, oh, I forgot something. Big Hook said something about turtle toes, so...
I like turtles.
Oh, the pop-up on the chat bar. Oh, yeah, I've seen that. Okay, I know what you're talking about now. Can you have the whole family on? I'd love to have. That would be a Biden family reunion. That would be great. Lots of people I'd like to have on the show. Of course, you know, some people I wouldn't. But, let's see. YouTube is spreading ads around. I'm not getting any on the main feed, but it always starts with one. Yep. I mean, I don't turn on ads in the main feed while we're live because you know, YouTube is like, hey, you have a bunch of people coming into the show now. It's a great time to show ads. I'm like, why? Why would it be a great time to show ads? It would not be, like, I don't want to scare people away just by showing ads. It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense whatsoever for me to say, oh, let's run ads now that people are just starting to come into the show, right? Dan's show was well after Biden's bedtime. You never know. Maybe you have to get up to pee or something, right? Sometimes you all wake up late. But I would absolutely have an earlier start time. And I'll put that out there to the world. To anybody who's involved with Joe Biden's press meetings or whatever, if you needed me to have President Biden on at an earlier time, I would absolutely change the start time of Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, That's Right, to make sure that I could interview him. Just saying. But yeah, also, trust at every game. I don't necessarily believe that to be true. So he switches sleep time from like 11 to 7 to 12 to 8, and the press lost their fucking shit. Well, the press always loses their fucking shit, but don't do it for Trump because, you know.
Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, the screen fell play, but Trump did it, so it must be okay.
Anyway, so let's hear what old Caroline Levitt has to say about what happened, and we will go from there, right?
Later today, President Trump and the First Lady will welcome King Charles and Queen Camilla for a state visit here at the White House. First Lady Melania Trump has led all of the preparation for the state visit, which will honor the long-standing and special relationship between the United States and the United Kingdom. As I told many of you on Friday afternoon, I thought that would be my last time taking your questions until after my maternity leave. But given the attempted assassination of the president and, quote, top Trump administration officials as the
attempted assassination, I mean, it was a very piss-poor attempt at an assassination that was shockingly allowed to get as far as it did. But, Kevin, why would you want Biden on your show? Because you want to claim that he's creepy, but nowhere near what Donald Trump is. But I reject the whole creepiness. But when people said that they were, made to feel uncomfortable because of some of Biden's actions, Biden took personal accountability, stepped forward and said, look, I'm sorry, this is I might be a very, compassionate, empathic person, but if I've made people uncomfortable, I do apologize, and I will try and I'm trying to do better later on, going forward. That's what Biden did, because Biden was willing to take personal accountability for his actions and understand that he might have made somebody uncomfortable and felt bad about that because he has empathy. MAGA folks will never take personal accountability because, again, as I've said multiple times in the show already, MAGA folks, to MAGA folks, the idea of personal accountability is so foreign to them that they've tried to deport it. So, anyway.
depraved shooter noted in his manifesto at the White House Correspondents Association dinner on Saturday evening, I felt it was prudent to be here today to answer your questions and inform the American people about how.
Inform the American people. You have never once informed the American people of anything other than informing them of the propaganda that you're paid to spew out.
How the administration is responding to yet another attempt on President Trump's life.
I tend to not want to victim blame people at all. That tends to be the theme here, but maybe there should be a little bit of self-reflection by Donald Trump to say, I don't know, has any president had 3 attempts against their lives? I don't know if any president has had that many attempts against them. I mean, you can't count the 2 shoes that were thrown at Bush. I mean, that wasn't an attempt, and he dodged them pretty damn well. But, so that wouldn't count as an attempt against Bush's life. But, and you can't count the pretzel either that caused the choking to happen, because that was just accidental. That wasn't a purposeful thing that happened, right? So, has anybody ever had this many attempts made against them during their political careers? Now, some people, obviously, you couldn't have that many attempts against you because the first attempt did the job, right? I mean, JFK, you know, there was no other alternative opportunity for anybody else to take him out after Dallas, right? So maybe you should do a little bit of self-reflection here. Maybe you should sit here and say, oh, maybe the problem here is me. It's not to justify anybody using violence against him. This is just to say that maybe if so many people hate you this much, that this is happening this much, maybe you should look at what you're doing and how you're leading. See, Pam, I heard that there were 11 attempts on Obama that were thwarted in advance by Secret Service. Okay, but again, it didn't get that far. Like, it didn't get to the point where you had gunmen out there. They were prevented way ahead of time, and they handled the threats. But the how many people have actually gotten that close 3 different times, with twice with shots actually being fired? Yeah, Pam, we never hear about them because they never get close enough to act. But yeah, but in this case, 3 people have gotten close enough to act, which either means that A, his Secret Service is inept, B, these are all fake jobs and inside jobs and false flags, or C, he's just caused that much hatred that people are willing to go through enough and make sure that they get closer than most people are able to get. Right? So, combination of the 2. But I said 3. You might have said that before hearing the 3, right? Anyway, let's go back to old Caroline, the propagandist, and see what she has to say.
Saturday was supposed to be a joyful evening.
Yeah, joyful. Okay. Anytime hanging out with President Trump, you're not going to be a joyful evening. Especially because, you know, he's too thin-skinned and chicken shit to be able to handle, you know, mean comedians saying mean things about him. You can't have a roast. It would have been amazing. What would have been amazing is if Donald Trump would have been like, that would have been the best thing for him to do. For him to be like, get Jimmy Kimmel to host the roast, and I'll show him that I can take it. That would have been the ballsy thing to do. That would have been the brave thing for him to do, would have been to have Jimmy Kimmel be in charge of the roast. But he's never going to do that because he's too cowardly. He's too much of a chicken shit to ever do that. So,
celebrating free speech and the First Amendment with all of you, members of the press. Instead, the night was hijacked by a crazed anti-Trump individual who traveled across the country to assassinate the president and as many administration officials as possible. This is the 3rd major assassination attempt against President Trump in 2 years. No
again, why is that? Why is that, Carolyn?
Other president in history has faced
yeah, Pam, he needed a magician doing magic tricks because that's a con in its own way. Yes, he had a mentalist up there or whatever. Instead of him being mental, and then he got a mentalist up there because, again, either he likes people who can con others, or he just likes the shiny object and he's like, that's beautiful, I love that, it's crazy how he can do that. I'd love to be able to get that done, but my hands are way too small to be able to do that sort of magic tricks. I'm very sorry, I can't palm anything because my palms are too small and I make little froggy hands like this. Anyway.
such repeated, serious.
Let's see. Cosmic Rose. Available sources count roughly 5 or more distinct plots tied to Obama and at least 4 to Trump, with recent events narrowing the gap. But the raw number of recorded plots against these sources, Obama appears to be the large target of slightly more documented plots overall. Fair enough. I guess I didn't word it as well, because I'm actually talking about people getting as close, because I don't think people ever got as close to Obama as people have gotten to Trump as it pertains to, you know, supposed attempted assassinations.
Attempts on his life. First and foremost, the president, the first lady, and everyone in this White House are extraordinarily grateful to the brave law enforcement professionals who sprang into action to apprehend the would-be assassin and keep all of us safe.
And went after Vance and protected Vance first before protecting Trump, which has got to piss Trump off. That video has got to piss Trump off. Like, why'd you go after Vance and not me first?
The president would especially like to express his gratitude to the men and women of the United States Secret Service who,
even though they're inept. Or either that or he's thanking the gratitude because they helped the false flag get off properly, right?
acted with the utmost professionalism, courage, and sense of duty. This includes
And don't talk about the duty in my defense because that's a different duty. It's not the sense of duty that she was talking about. That's a different type of duty altogether. I don't like talking about that duty. I kick people out of the room whenever I have that kind of duty.
the heroic agent who took a bullet to the chest. Thankfully, he was saved by his bulletproof vest. Minutes after returning here to the White House to the Oval Office, despite fighting Secret Service to try to stay and keep the dinner going on Saturday, ahead of addressing you here in the briefing room, President Trump
I wanted to lift my head in the air with another bloody ear and say they got my ear again. But I'm gonna fight because I support the white people. Right?
Trump was intent on speaking to this brave agent to ensure he was okay, and the agent assured the president that he was. As you know, I was seated next to President Trump and the First Lady when the shots were fired before Secret Service swiftly moved us to safety backstage. The president's calm in the face of chaos while...
Yeah, calm, okay. I mean, he was like a deer in the headlights at some point, and then, you know, completely forgot about the fact that he's married.
Yet another individual was trying to take his life was really remarkable to witness.
See, Dan, did you hear Cheryl Hines, RFK Jr.'s wife, was left behind to fend for herself? She was hanging on the plans of one of the secrets. Yes, I did hear about that as well. Although, was it Kushner? I don't think it was Kushner. I think it was Stephen Miller. And like there's like stills with Stephen Miller like kind of guiding his wife out, and people are trying to say that that's evidence that Stephen Miller was hiding behind his wife. I actually don't believe that. I think I've seen other pictures of Stephen Miller where it actually looked like he was trying to protect his own wife. Now, Stephen Miller's a piece of shit, but at least he's a piece of shit that apparently looked like he was taking care of his wife and trying to protect his wife, as opposed to Donald Trump, who is a cowardly piece of shit who didn't even worry about his own wife. And again, the whole RFK Jr. thing as well. Like, if I was Cheryl Hines, I'd be like, done. You know, you left me to rot out there with all of the peons or whatever. So, anyway.
And it's something I will never forget.
Or Broomer, Taylor Swift in 2018 had better security than Trump in 2026. True.
President Trump is fearless because he loves this.
He's not fearless. He's a chicken shit. If he was fearless, he would have gotten on top of his wife for more than 30 seconds to protect her.
Country.
And that's opposed to the other times he gets on top of his wife and it's less than 30 seconds.
Oh my.
Sorry for that mental image.
And he is willing to put his own life on the line to deliver on the promises that he made to the American public who elected him here into the...
Yeah, Cash just cowered. Cash is like, I heard there were shots. Give me a glass.
highest office in the land. And while we are blessed to have a fearless president, we should...
I mean, you shouldn't be doing drugs, Caroline. You're pregnant. You really shouldn't be taking this much drugs while pregnant. It's going to harm the fetus.
Not live in a country where such constant fear of political violence permeates our society.
And maybe there's a reason why there's so much political violence that takes place, especially but y'all don't give a shit about the political violence when it happens on the right. Again, y'all pardon the politically violent who attacked the Capitol on January 1st of 2021. You know, you made excuses for them and then you pardoned them. So you don't have a problem with that political violence. It's just the political violence of the people you can, try and paint broad brushes of the people. Hell, even when I was critical of the people of the 2021, the January 6th insurrectionists, I made it clear that the people that I was being critical of were the people who went into the building, the people who went and actually caused damage, the people who were hunting down Nancy Pelosi and other folks. Like, I wasn't saying that the other people who were there outside who weren't trying to, push against the barriers or whatever, I wasn't saying everybody that was there was a domestic terrorist. Although, when you bring it up, the MAGA folks will be like, well, clearly, there was tons of people who didn't commit acts of violence. Yeah, we're not talking about them, you dumb shits, but you are. So again, hit dogs holler.
Every single day. We can.
Pam Matthews, I think she has gestational liabetes. And yes, Baltanos, I did see that Cassius stood there at the table eating after the show. I'm surprised he wasn't drinking either, because, you know.
And we should have fierce disagreement in this country. As you all know, we disagree often, myself in this role and all of you in the news media. But those disagreements must remain peaceful.
So, maybe you should be criticizing your own fucking president when he says things like, you know, that the other people are the enemy. See if I can bring up this image real quick, because I didn't get it up on time to be able to show it here, but I can still show it here. Trump has called the left the enemy within, scum, terrorists, vermin, radical, lunatics, demonic, evil, fascists, Marxists, communists, garbage, the enemy of the people, the enemy within, treasonous, animals, degenerates, Jew haters, even though he's anti-Semitic himself, and lowlives. So, tell us again, Carolyn, about who's responsible for this, the political vitriol that takes place during the Donald Trump presidencies. It couldn't possibly be Donald Trump doing that, because you admitting that would require you to take some personal accountability for the actions of your president, and would require President Trump to also take some personal accountability. And again, as we've said, the idea of personal accountability is so foreign to them that they've already tried to deport it. And I'm going to beat that dead horse.
Debating, peaceful protesting, and voting are how we need to settle disagreements, not bull.
But only voting if you're a member of the right hand, because the left people, we don't want the left voting. We're going to stop them from voting, right?
Bullets. Nobody in recent years has faced more bullets and more violence than President Trump.
Nobody has faced more bullets than President Trump. He's faced one. The bullets that were fired at the Saturday's event had nothing to, and then no bullet was fired at the other attempt at his life. So he's faced one bullet. I think there are plenty of people who have faced more than one bullet in this country, and especially more than 3. So, I mean, I don't know what the hell she's smoking, but again, you should not be doing drugs while you're pregnant, because it's dangerous to the fetus.
This political violence stems from a systemic demonization of him and his supporters by commentators, yes, by elected members of the Democrat Party, and even some in the media.
So what bullets were, where is the camera feed? Exactly, One Vision. And thank you, One Vision, for being a liberal danimal for 12 months.
This hateful and constant and violent rhetoric directed
is caused by your boss.
At President Trump.
Because it's caused by your boss, and he's the one who sends the hate out, so he gets the hate back tenfold. But he's the one that, if he wouldn't be as hateful of a piece of shit as, you know, he is, then maybe he wouldn't be facing all of the hatefulness coming back at him. Day
after day after day for 11 years has helped to legitimize this violence and bring us to this dark moment. Those who
you mean the J6 motherfuckers? Yeah.
Constantly falsely label
Distant
and
galaxy. Do we have to listen to the Scarecrow? I mean, I think it's important to hear what they have to say so that we can combat the propaganda. Because if we don't fight the propaganda goes unchecked. So
slander the president as a fascist, as a threat to democracy, and compare him to Hitler to score political points.
I don't compare Donald Trump to Hitler to score political points. I compare Donald Trump to Hitler because there are direct things that Donald Trump has done that you can look at Hitler, and Hitler did the same fucking things. You know, Adolf Hitler scapegoated an entire religion for the woes of his country. Donald Trump, during the 2016 campaign, proposed a blanket ban on all Muslims entering this country, a total and complete ban of all Muslims entering this country until we figure out what's going on. That's what Donald Trump said. He scapegoated an entire religion. And then he again scapegoated all of Jews. He said if he would have lost in 2024, it would have been the fault of the Jews. So, you know, there's that. There's also the whole Lugan press, lying press, fake news thing. Donald Trump immediately started off in 2016 by preemptively stating that anything that the media says about him is false. Therefore, it's all fake news. They're a bunch of liars. They're all going to lie about you. Adolf Hitler did the same thing with Lügenpresse or lying press. Then, you know, starting to round up the people who they view as the scapegoats and then throwing those people into, you know, camps, like what this administration was doing in Alligator Dachau and what in Florida, and what they were trying to do in many other places in this country when they're trying to create more and more basically internment camps or concentration camps for the people who they lock up for deportation are going to get stuck. And also they'll be used for political, you know, enemies as well, as he describes them.
Are fueling this kind of violence. The left-wing cult of hatred.
Yeah, she's apparently she's due in a week or whatever on the 7th. So, you know, all that hate can't be good for the fetus. All of her hate cannot be good for the fetus.
Against the president and all of those who support him and work for him has gotten multiple people hurt and killed, and it almost did so again this weekend.
Who's been hurt and killed that were part of the administration? What?
When you read the manifesto of this shooter,
hey, Chucker John, good to see you. Thank you for joining.
ask yourselves, how different is the rhetoric from this almost assassin than what you read on social media and hear in various forums every single
How different is what he said as compared to what Donald Trump puts up on Truth Social all the time? Answer that one, Carolyn.
day? The answer, if you're being honest with yourself, is that there is no difference at all.
I'm honest with myself. Are you honest with yourself?
Much of the manifesto of the would-be assassin is indistinguishable from the words that we hear daily from so many.
So just because he speaks the truth, it doesn't mean that that justifies the behavior and that other people who are, you know, also saying those things are going to, you know, resort to violence.
For example,
but that's what they want to do. They want to make us all look like violent motherfuckers so that they can come after us. They can lock us up for what we say. They can lock us up for what we do when what we do is not that. But they're going to like, well, we have to do it preemptively or else you're going to do the same thing. Because if this person was a shooter who said these things, anybody else who says those things are would-be shooters too. So therefore we need to preemptively lock them up so they can't take any horrible actions against dear leader. There shall be no criticism of the president while I'm in charge of the press pool.
As the First Lady of the United States pointed out this morning, just 2 days prior to the shooting, ABC's late-night host Jimmy Kimmel disgustingly called First Lady Melania Trump an expectant widow.
Well, you know, a lot of us are expecting the blood clot to happen. That's not a call for violence. It's just an idea that, you know, Donald Trump is old as dirt. He is old as dirt. And, you know, there are many theories as to what his health conditions might be and what might happen in the not so distant future as it pertains to his health. But, you know, they don't want to pay attention to, you know, biological realities.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald.
Who in their right minds says a wife
Let's see. Holy crap, John Scalzi, great science fiction author, has FBI, Secret Service, NSA people now monitoring his accounts because the would-be assassin liked some of his posts. Holy shit. And I love John Scalzi. John Scalzi uses, I paraphrase one of the arguments that John Scalzi makes all the time. So, yeah, John Scalzi's great.
would be glowing over the potential murder of her beloved husband, and having experienced what I did with the
Again, he wasn't talking about murder. He just said widow. You're the one who's injecting murder in there when he just said widow. You can become a widow from natural causes too.
The First Lady on Saturday night. I can tell you that she was anything but that. This kind of rhetoric about the president, the First Lady, and his...
And can you imagine had President Biden or Jill Biden had, you know, wanted to shut down people on the conservative side of the media?
Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, that scream foul play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
And I see you, Otis George. I saw you putting that you were warming up, and yes, I was ready to do it. So I had to follow through because that's exactly what I was planning to do.
His supporters is completely...
Wait, CBS better not touch Kimmel. Why would CBS touch him? I think he's ABC, right? Sorry, just got to pick on you a little bit. I only pick on the ones I love, though.
deranged, and it's unbelievable that the American people
It's unbelievable.
are consuming it night after night after night. As President Trump said on Saturday night at this podium, we as Americans must recommit ourselves to resolving our differences peacefully and uniting around the shared values that make our country great.
You first. Y'all first. You have started all this crap. You do it first. You set the example there, Donnie boy, but you're not going to do so because you don't set the example. The only example you set is the example of hatred and vilifying the enemy.
The deranged lies and smears against the president, his family, his supporters have led crazy people to believe crazy things, and they are...
Yeah. Like, can we go over the exhaustive list of things that that y'all believe that are fucking crazy? Yeah, that should be a good one.
...inspired to commit...
Yeah, because Trump admitted no kings is mean, because Trump admitted he would interview if he was a king, almost tempting.
...commit violence because of those words. It has to stop. And one more point.
One more point with 20 minutes left in this thing. Ugh, I don't even know if we're going to make it through all the way that.
Saturday night served as yet another reminder of how important it is to fund the Department of Homeland Security.
And the entirety of the Department of Homeland Security, with the exception of ICE, would be funded completely and wholly if the Republicans would just allow that to pass. But the Republicans are holding up the funding for everything else in the Department of Homeland Security because they want to make sure that ICE can continue doing their Gestapo bullshit.
It is shameful that the United States Congress has kept this vital agency defunded for 73 days.
Oh, demon rats, good one there, Kevin. Hilk.
The longest shutdown of a federal agency in U.S. history. The Secret Service is a vital component of DHS. It has...
And the Democrats are more than willing to fund Secret Service. They're more than willing to fund everything else as part of the Department of Homeland Security, just not ICE. Because again, they see what ICE is doing, and they want to make sure that ICE is reined in, if not abolished altogether. Go back to the old INS days, right? But, you know, they can't have that because it's better for the Republicans to be able to make the Democrats look like the ones that they're stopping it, even though it's the Republicans who are choosing to not pass a bill that would fund everything from DHS with the exception of ICE.
Has been directly impacted by this reckless political gamesmanship. Everyone in this room who was there on Saturday night witnessed the heroes of Secret Service and federal law enforcement jump into action in the face of grave danger and uncertainty. Agents put their own lives in harm's way to protect the president.
Yeah, can you imagine having that job, having to defend that giant piece of shit?
The First Lady, the Vice President, and members...
Did they really protect the First Lady? I mean, they kind of left her under the table, didn't they?
...of the cabinet.
And they went after Vance first, remember?
One agent can be seen in video footage literally jumping onto the stage, not knowing where the attacker was or where the bullets were coming from at that point.
Because that's their job. Like, oh, let's applaud people for doing what their job is supposed to be. Even though their job should have also been preventing it from happening in the first place and not letting him into the area with a gun, you know. But, you know, what do I know, right?
To place his body in front of the President of the United States. These men and women are heroes. They perform their duties daily, and they...
I do my duties too, sometimes in my pants. And I'm a big boy when I go in the toilet. I make sure Melania tells me that I'm a big boy. Either that or maybe Laura Loomer will tell me I'm a big boy. Because I like to be told that I'm big because, you know, Stormy said otherwise.
They have children and families too. And they do it despite the political turmoil surrounding their agency. Make no mistake.
I was actually going to get to the straight white male thing, lowest difficulty setting, after we started talking about this. But yes, I was going to start talking about that because that's usually what I talk about.
This defunding of DHS should be a national scandal. If Republicans...
Yeah, it should be a national scandal, and people should be looking at the Republican Party and saying, why are you not making that deal with the Democrats to make sure that the rest of DHS is funded and then work on ICE? But y'all aren't doing that because you believe, and probably rightly so, that enough American people will buy your bullshit and believe it's the Democrats' fault when the Democrats are more than happy to fund the rest of DHS.
Funded DHS, and we saw in another attempted assassination on a Democrat president. I would hope that the media coverage would be relentless and unforgiving, and I hope that it continues to be now.
Oh, did she do a had Biden done it for me?
Had Biden done it, MAGA will flip. Had Biden done
The World Cup, America 250, the 2028 Olympics, and a presidential election all ahead, the Democrats' obstruction
Presidential election all ahead, huh? We still got the midterms, y'all.
is placing an enormous and totally pointless burden on the Secret Service that can get more people killed. Enough is enough. There should be no further debate about this. Democrats need to do
there should be no further debate on this. Tell the Republicans to fund the entirety of DHS with the exception of ICE, like the Democrats have offered, and then work out your differences on ICE. You could easily do it, but you won't, because the Republican Party is more than willing to make a political point over making sure that things are secure.
President Trump has been calling on them to do for 73 days in a row and fund the Department of Homeland Security, period. This is a national emergency, and every member of Congress needs to put their country over
Every member of Congress, including the Republicans who are not doing so, you dumb, stupid piece of shit.
Party and get the Department of Homeland Security funded. With that, I will take a few of your questions today. Daniel, thank you for being here. Why don't you
You're welcome.
kick us off?
Wrong Daniel, sorry.
Thank you, Caroline. The president, Saturday after the assassination attempt came here, he emphasized that law enforcement did their job, keeping everyone safe at the dinner. House Speaker Mike Johnson came out and said he believes the president needs greater protection. What is the White House's message to the millions of Americans who wake up here today nervous, uneasy about the safety of the president?
Are y'all nervous? Are y'all uneasy about the safety of the president? Are y'all scared? Are y'all upset? Like, I don't know anybody who's sitting here all nervous about it. You know, maybe the people who are just, members of the cult might be nervous about it. But if you're members of the cult, you should believe that Donald Trump is already untouchable, right? And he's protected by God. And if you believe that Donald Trump is, sent here by God to do a reason and basically the reincarnation of Jesus Christ, then, if anything happens to them, wouldn't that be God's will too? I mean, come on now. We got to be consistent. If things are God's will, then they're God's will, regardless of who it happens to, right?
At events like this and safety of other cabinet members.
Well, we certainly understand their fears
Karen, I slept fine all weekend. Yeah, me too.
and their worries. As you heard from the president himself,
See, Nick, I think over half the country who voted for him probably wants to keep all presidents safe. Again, I'm not sitting here justifying any violence against any political figure. I'm not going to mourn Donald Trump when he when the blood clots hit, especially with him being such a piece of shit when other people die. I will give him the same shit that he gave other people when he eventually does pass away from natural causes. But still, I'm not going to advocate for anybody's murder.
he continues to have trust in the United States Secret Service. As I just said, these are great men and women who are doing their jobs and performing their duties honorably.
Again, I'm not the perfect speaker. I know I'm not the perfect speaker, but you are the fucking press secretary. You should be a little bit better than that, y'all.
As we all witnessed on Saturday evening, within minutes, the president, the first lady, the vice president, members of the president's cabinet were ushered out of the room. The perpetrator who sought to inflict
They were ushered out the room. Yeah. Sorry.
massive harm,
Okay.
as we all now know with the release of the manifesto on administration officials and the president himself, was stopped at the security perimeter that was set up. He tried to charge through it, as you saw on video, and he was quickly neutralized by Secret Service, and thank God that he was.
I'm aware she's pregnant, Nick. What are you talking about? That shouldn't affect her ability to speak.
With that said, obviously the White House is always asking the tough questions and ensuring the safety of the president. I understand there will be a
It's a tough question. Where's the ketchup and what wall can I throw it at?
meeting early this week convened by the White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles with top DHS leadership, members of the United States Secret Service, and our own operations team here to ensure the safety and the security of the president, as we do have many of these major events moving forward. So we're always monitoring operations and procedures, always asking the tough questions to ensure the president.
Nick, have you ever been pregnant? I mean, I've never noticed my wife. She was pregnant a few times, and I never noticed her to speak differently when pregnant versus not being pregnant. I might have a few pregnant pauses, but I've never been pregnant myself.
Is safe, and the American people should be assured there's no higher priority for the
Caroline, I can't stand her, but you do lose your breath easily when pregnant. I mean, if it was just a matter of her losing her breath, then fine, whatever. That comes with whatever comes with pregnancy. But still, speaking terribly.
the president and his staff than the president's safety.
Caroline, Friday you said that you thought that gaggle out of the sticks would be your last one before your baby. Back in 2024, when the president had the attempt on his life in Butler, you cut your maternity leave short back then. You're obviously back here today after Saturday. Can you just elaborate a little bit why you felt it was important to be here?
Because I love Donald Trump and I need to serve him as best as I can because I'm lining myself up to be the next bride.
Bring to media and talk to the American people from the stand.
Sure, it's sort of crazy timing when you put it that way for both children.
That's the conspiracy. When Caroline Leavitt is pregnant, Donald Trump has attempts against him, so that's the key. Don't get Caroline Leavitt again. Or maybe if you hate Donald Trump, get Caroline Leavitt pregnant again.
2 assassination attempts.
That's all we need, more MAGAs breeding.
Against the president. I'm honored to work in this job. I view this job as the president's spokesperson and the White House spokeswoman as public service. It's not just any job. I'm honored to do it, and I'm honored to work in...
It's not a job, it's an adventure.
Speak on behalf of President Trump, who has faced unprecedented...
I wish he would be unprecedented.
Adversity and challenges, and I'm honored to work for him. And again, as I witnessed on Saturday night, just his dogged resolve and determination to...
Did she just call me a dog? She's gonna be fired. I don't like being called a dog or any other animal.
Get back onto the stage, and he was pushing Secret Service and law enforcement to allow him to address, and that really, I think, hopefully gives the country the type of strength that we need. And I certainly know, as his spokeswoman, and I can speak on behalf of all of the staff here at the White House, the president inspires all of us to...
What does the president inspire y'all to do? We didn't hear what the president inspires them to do in the White House, but what does the president inspire y'all to do? Does he inspire you to take a big giant shit? Does he inspire you to drink, to take some other substances? What does the president inspire you to do?
Just keep going and keep fighting every day. Thanks, Daniel. And congrats to you on your new baby. He's beautiful. Aisha.
Just on the rhetoric, you mentioned the First Lady and Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel's comments were, Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow. And he said this days before the shooting, but there does seem to be a normalization of rhetoric about assassinating this.
That wasn't anything about assassination. Again, he didn't say assassinate, he just said widow. You can become a widow by natural causes too. So again, manipulation of words doesn't make your comment any more correct, right?
Particular president. How can this administration try to put an end to this?
Well, I think you heard it directly from the president.
Make me a BLT too, Joseph.
On Saturday night, Aisha, that in his words, we need to recommit ourselves as a country to toning down the rhetoric.
Again, and he needs to start with setting the example of toning down the rhetoric, because he doesn't have toned down rhetoric. His rhetoric is the opposite of toned down.
And to unify...
Blimey, Governor, it's only one division in my lifetime. Well, I'll never. Although that's probably not how you would say it, because you're Scottish. So blimey, Governor, it's only one division in my lifetime. Well, I'll never. Actually, that's more Cockney than it's Scottish either. Ugh.
Around what makes our country great. That's true of everyone who works in this White House, but as I said, it's also true of everyone who has a voice and a platform across this country, whether you're on television, a podcast host, people...
She's talking about me.
Listen, and when you have mentally disturbed individuals across the country who are listening to this crazed rhetoric about the president day after...
It's not that crazy when it's true.
Day after day, it inspires them to do crazy things, and unfortunately...
I have a crazy thing for all y'all to do. Go like, share, comment videos from liberaldanradio.com. Find the videos, the music videos, share them to your social media channels. That would be a crazy thing that I want y'all to do. That's what I want y'all to do. Go share and comment and help the algorithm, because Al Gore needs more rhythm. Anyway, that's what I want y'all to do.
It's not just the media, it is the entire Democrat Party has made their pitch to voters across the country that Donald Trump poses an existential threat to democracy.
Because he does! That either you can't see it, which means you're a fucking idiot, or you do see it and don't care, which makes you complicit. One of two options there, Caroline.
hypocrisy that he is a fascist and that they compare him
He is!
to Hitler. I mean,
We do, because he has comparisons that are apt.
these are despicable statements that the
They're not despicable because they're true. What's despicable is the fact that he looks up to Hitler and follows his playbook.
American people have been consuming for years. And so many mentally perturbed individuals are led to believe these words
You know, all the people wearing red hats.
are truth and then are inspired to act on it. I have a whole host of examples that we can share with you after. It is pages
Oh, yeah, we'll share it with you after. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, but we have to manufacture them first. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
and pages of major Democrat Party
Yeah, exactly.
elected officials.
Exactly, Miss Kitty. His own vice president previously referred to him as America's Hitler. Kind of hard to argue that away when your own vice president previously referred to you as America's Hitler.
Saying, such as Rep. Hakeem Jeffries just this month, said, "We are in an era of maximum warfare everywhere all the time." Governor Josh Shapiro said heads need to roll within the administration.
Warfare all of the time.
Senator Alex Padilla said people are, quote, dying because of fear and terror caused by the Trump administration.
That's true.
Senator Elizabeth Warren, President Trump is making the country look like a, quote, fascist state.
That's true.
Senator Adam Schiff saying President Trump using a dictator playbook. Senator Ed
That's true.
Markey calling President Trump a dictator, saying that this administration's actions are authoritarianism on steroids. Governor
That's wicked true.
J.B. Pritzker, never before in my life have I called for mass protest disruptions. These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace.
I see no problem with that.
You have Rep. Presley saying, we'll see you in the streets.
Yeah, see you in the streets by protesting. Not, threatening death or destruction, but protesting.
Monica McIver, a Democrat representative on Capitol Hill, we will not take this shit from Donald Trump. He thinks he's a dictator. We are at war.
We are at war because Donald Trump put us at war after claiming to be a president of peace.
These are Democrat elected officials calling for war against the president of the
That's not what they said, you dumb motherfucker.
United States and his supporters. I could go on and on.
And again, your guy called us the enemy within. So fuck you.
But again, when you
I guess someone already has because, you're pregnant, but still, fuck you.
have people in positions of power that are saying things like this every single day for
Yes, how dare people in positions of power say horrible, deplorable things like your boss?
years, you are inspiring violence by people who are already mentally ill. And that's what we've seen against this president for far too long.
This is disinformation and misinformation online. There will be bite-sized clips that will go viral to the point where there are Americans.
How can that happen? Tell me how to make that happen. I need a bite-sized clip to go viral. That would be lovely.
Americans in this country that believe that what happened Saturday night was staged. How does this White House tackle
Who would ever say such a thing?
that with social media companies out there, whether it's X, Facebook, Instagram? How do they work with these companies to make sure that doesn't get out of control?
So she's asking, how do you cause people to not state their opinion on social media? Wow, where's this asshole from?
It's certainly a good question, Aisha. I don't have tangible answers.
Nick Driver, I enjoy your show. Pretty fun. Well, hopefully, I'd like to have more people have fun. But, only the smartest people come to Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. Only morons don't watch Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right, right?
For you on what we're doing with social media companies, if anything at all. What I will say is it's very important to us that we get the truth and the facts about this case and any case out there as quickly as possible to just
Yeah, the truth coming from this administration. That's rich.
dispel some of that crazy nonsense that you do see running rampant online. And I think the Department of Justice and the FBI thus far have done a good job of disseminating the truth and the facts about this alleged attempted assassin, the perpetrator in this case. And I understand he'll be arraigned in court very soon. You will all see that in the...
It's a raining man. Hallelujah, they're a raining man. Hey, hey. There's some more that I can think that they should be arraigning too, but still, we're not that lucky.
Department of Justice will be giving a briefing and an update later today. So as far as we're concerned, just providing maximum transparency and hopefully people will believe the truth rather than the lies and the conspiracies.
We do believe truth. Just when are y'all going to start saying it? Probably never.
That so often do go crazy on social media.
Caroline.
Rachel.
Thanks, Caroline. Does the administration view
Caroline!
this as a
You're telling a bunch of lies, I know you like to think Trump's shit don't stink.
security failure, or did the protocols work as they were designed?
The president.
Did the protocols work as well? I mean, some people would say they did work as designed because the design was to have an attack to react to and not one that was thwarted. Because again, just like Benjamin Netanyahu with 10/7, you know, they did the math and they said, oh, it's probably better for us politically to respond to an attack than to say that we stopped one before it happened. So Donald Trump's like, that's a great idea, Netanyahu's a genius. Let's make sure that the guy can make his attack, but we'll stop him beforehand to make it look like he almost got me when in reality he wasn't gonna, because, you know, that's how we do our false flags.
Has said he believes that the protocols worked. Again, you had a perpetrator who tried to breach the security parameter that was set up by
Parameter? Not perimeter, but parameter?
Secret Service, and he was running as fast as he could and was immediately neutral.
Wait, who said, Bald Thanos, Dan is hotter than Caroline.
Moments later. And again, having been right up there on the stage with the president and the first lady, I can tell you it was seconds before we were told to get down, and it was seconds before we found ourselves in the hold room backstage. It all happened literally within a matter of seconds.
Only thing that was shorter amount of time that took place was the time that Donald Trump was with Stormy Daniels. About Jolie, Dan does birthday parties too, and bar mitzvahs. Don't forget the bar mitzvahs.
The president, the vice president, and the first lady being pulled to safety. That is.
Yeah, they left the first lady behind.
Not done if there's a lapse. So Secret Service did their jobs well. They communicated
I don't know anything about laps. I've never done a lap in my life.
With one another to remove the president and the vice president to safety as quickly as they could, and obviously to neutralize the shooter as well. And thank God they did, because if that man was allowed into that ballroom, it would have been a much different scene.
And just one more follow-up on just how the White House could be rethinking security protocols going forward. I mean, we all
the way to rethink it is to make sure we have my ballroom. You know, it's my vanity project, but it's going to be safe like no one's ever seen. It'll be so safe, like no one's seen any place as safe as the ballroom that we're planning.
Remember, after the attempted assassination in Butler, there were indoor rallies that were held after that. Is that out of the question, changing any additional security protocols when it comes to how the president does these events that are outside of the White House?
I definitely wouldn't say changes are out of the question. I think, again, that it's up to the White House here, and we view it as a great responsibility to ensure the maximum.
With great power comes great responsibility, according to Spider-Man. But Spider-Man, he's not a hero. Your president, Donald Trump, is a hero.
Safety of the president and the vice president and the entire cabinet. And so we're always looking for ways to improve security. I think if you just sit here and say everything is perfect all the time, that's not a good way to operate. And so the
everything is awesome.
White House will continue to engage with DHS and with Secret Service to find ways to improve and strengthen security. But as far as Saturday night is,
maybe you should have, like, you know, a president that inspires, you know, loyalty, actual loyalty, and, you know, inspires people to actually do the right thing. You know, that would help.
Concerned. The president was satisfied with the response, and he's very grateful to the men and women who provided the response.
Or Boomer, he had extra rounds in his Red Ryder wagon and BB gun. You could lose an eye like that.
For him and his wife and members of his team.
His wife that he left behind because he's a cowardly piece of shit and didn't try to protect his wife when there was a shooting going on.
Deanna.
Thanks, Caroline. The president has talked about rescheduling the dinner within 30 days. Does he have a specific venue in mind? And would he consider hosting it at the White House?
I would love to have it at my ballroom, but we won't have it done in time. But, you know, any other place, maybe we'll have it in Mar-a-Lago.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have a room big enough here at the White House, which is another point to be made, and the president is absolutely right. It's why the White House Ballroom project is not just a fun project for President Trump, like you will read in the media. It is actually critical for our
It's a vanity project.
national security, that a larger, secure building on this complex, which is the most secure complex in the world, is built to accommodate not only large amounts of guests, but also the president, the vice president, members of the cabinet. The line of succession in this country should be able to gather freely in safety without the
Freely, did you say in safety or freely in safety?
The line of secession in this country should be able to gather freely in safety without the fear of
Okay, I think she said freely in safety, so I think that was correct.
threats or political violence, and the White House Ballroom will provide that, and so it's critical that we get this project done as quickly
There'll be so many balls in the ballroom like no one's ever seen. All the balls will be there.
as possible.
Iran as well.
Best BLT ever. Now you're making me jealous. I mean, I have bacon. I just don't have the. I have tomato too. I just don't have the lettuce. I do have bread. Maybe I should make a bacon and tomato sandwich for dinner tonight.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Caroline. Two questions, if that's all right. First, on the security situation on Saturday, kind of a follow-up here. Previous administrations have sent both the president and the vice president to the dinner, but after the foiled attack on Saturday, if the dinner is rescheduled, would President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance both plan on attending?
Vance won't be there because Donald Trump doesn't want to have Vance evacuated first again because that's not good for the optics.
And is it wise to have both of them in the same spot, given the presidential line of succession that you mentioned a second ago?
It's definitely a good question, and I know that it's one that will be raised. I can assure you the president intends
We have the best questions, though. Nobody has better questions than my administration.
to attend the event, as he has told all of you publicly.
Orb rumor. I only have general rule, only 2 orbs per ballroom, but you do you, people.
I don't want to rule in or out the vice president's attendance, but certainly that's a conversation that will take place.
And Iran has proposed a mutual reopening of the strait, leaving the nuclear discussion for later in the process. Given that the nuclear program has been a red line for this administration, would the president agree to that kind of phased negotiation?
Well, only because it's been reported. I will confirm the president has met with his national security team this morning. The meeting may be ongoing, maybe not. I don't want to speak affirmatively because I was prepping to come out here, but the proposal was being discussed. I don't want to get ahead of the president or his national security team. What I will reiterate is that the president's red lines with respect to Iran have been made very, very clear, not just
Yeah, and then, you know, of course, if they don't follow it, he's going to make it inhabitable for 93 million people, and then, you know, what will that do when it comes to radicalization of Iranian folks against America?
to the American public, but also to them as well.
So they're considering it.
I wouldn't say they're considering it. I would just say that there was a discussion this morning that I don't want to get ahead of.
I don't want to say we're considering it, but we're maybe, but we're not, but they're talking about it, but it's being considered, but it's not.
And you'll hear directly from the president, I'm sure, on this topic very soon.
I'm going to ask you about the Fed chairman, but first, 3 assassination attempts in 3 years. Is this going to change the type of events that the president goes to?
Well, again,
We have the bravest president in the history of this country, and he will not change anything about the way he does because he's wonderful and I love him.
that's going to be part of the conversations moving forward. But as you heard from President Trump, he does not want these deranged lunatics and these grave acts of political violence to change our American way of life. And I think it's a very brave thing for him to say.
Yeah, he just wants tariffs to change the American way of life. He just wants, you know, his policies to change the American way of life. He wants to, you know, take money away from, you know, funding daycare for people who can't afford it and push it towards making more bombs, you know. But he doesn't want to change the American way of life.
It'd be very easy for him to just hunker down here at the White House where he knows he's safe, but the president wants to be out across the country. He wants to go across the country to meet with
The president's ego is too large for him to just stay in the White House.
with Americans. He wants to celebrate the 250th birthday of our nation's anniversary this summer. As you know, we're gearing up for a big UFC fight here on the South Lawn. So there's many exciting events I know the president wants to be.
And then we're going to have the WWE, and we're going to be wonderful, and I'm going to shave Vince McMahon's head again.
Before he passes away, I gotta shave it one more time because I like it shaved.
Part of and will be part of moving forward. He's undeterred in that way, and it's something that inspires all of us here to keep going.
Senator Tillis is now dropping his objection to allowing Kevin Warsh to be confirmed because the DOJ has closed their investigation. Is the president satisfied that an inspector general report into the Federal Reserve is enough to look into these renovations?
The president understands that the inspector general has greater tools at their disposal, perhaps even more powerful than a grand jury, to continue investigating the financial.
And I love people with greater tools. Nobody has better tools than me, though. We have the best tools.
Mismanagement of the Fed building, which is a priority for the president. Look, he's a builder himself. When he sees something has a lot of cost overruns, is taking too long, and in this case, ripping off the American taxpayer, he wants to get to the bottom of it.
Again, Powell explained why Donald Trump was wrong on that, but, nobody wants to, he won't listen to anybody who contradicts him, so he's going to ignore truth.
I understand Senator Tillis put out a statement saying he'll support Kevin Warsh's confirmation. That has been our position all along from day one. He is more than qualified for the job, and we look forward to working with the Senate on his swift confirmation process. Megan.
As a follow-up on Warsh, will the president be satisfied once the Fed's Inspector General finishes that investigation, even if it finds no evidence of wrongdoing?
Well, that's a hypothetical question. I'll let the president speak on it when we see the results. It's obviously far too early.
Let me sleep on it. Or speak on it, I'm sorry.
To say.
And relatedly, as a follow-up, now that it looks like Warsh will be confirmed by the end of Jay Powell's term, is he still considering firing Jay Powell if he stays on as governor after that?
I haven't talked to him about it specifically, but I think the president will be satisfied once Kevin Warsh is confirmed as the Fed chair, which he should be. Karen.
On Iran, the president had said last week that the U.S. has started the process of clearing the Strait of Hormuz of mines. Do you have an update on how many have been removed and an estimate of how long that process could take?
I don't, but I would defer you to the Pentagon on that. We'll make sure they get you an answer.
Well, they can't go into the Pentagon because the Pentagon won't let the press in unless they sign some horrible, ridiculous document that prevents them from actually reporting the news.
It's an ongoing process, though. It's still actually happening right now.
Again, I would defer you to the Pentagon on anything with respect to clearing mines in the Strait of Hormuz.
I know that you said that the White House is reviewing the security protocols for things that could be done differently in the future. Have you identified anything so far that you would like to see done differently, or ask the Secret Service to make any changes in the security protocols for the president, particularly at these large events that are taking place off the White House campus?
Not yet, no, but as I said, there will be a meeting here at the White House in the earlier half of this week, so those conversations will take place.
And on the
Oh boy.
line of succession.
And I would also just add, look, the Secret Service does not detail their procedures or operations to the public for obvious reasons, because you have crazy people who try to hijack them and get around them. So these conversations will take place in private, but if adjustments need to be made to protect the president, they will be made.
Doing like it does, for instance, with a joint address to Congress for these large events, and designating someone as the designated survivor for future large events that the cabinet attends.
Well, those conversations ahead of the walk of dinner did take place, but there were several members of the cabinet in the line of succession who did not attend for various personal reasons. So designating one survivor was not necessary, as we had several members who were not there already.
Caroline, all those people forced to dive under tables and fearing for their lives on Saturday night, including many of the people in this room, myself included. What is the president's message to those people who experienced that terrible trauma and maybe are still fearful today?
I'm telling them to get a backbone and be brave like your president. Use, the bravest like no one's ever seen. Ignore the fact that I didn't protect Melania.
I think he would say, as he sort of did on Saturday night, coming in here in his tuxedo, we can't allow these crazy people to let us be afraid. We have to keep moving forward, showing up, doing our job, celebrating our country, and doing what we know is right. But certainly we'd like to see the rhetoric against this president and his supporters toned down, because it is inspiring these crazy people across the country to target not just the president, but those who work for him and those who support him. And it must end.
Is he following the arraignment of the suspect today?
Yes, he is, and I know you all want to follow that too. It's happening in a few minutes, so I'll let you all go. The Department of Justice is...
All right, so she's ending it up there. Fine, no problem, whatever. And with that, I do have some work to do tonight. I'm hungry, so I need to have some dinner, and maybe I'll make a BLT without the L. We'll see. But we are going to go on and still play some of the music that we play when we end the show, including We Knew, which is one of my favorite ones that I've made, and of course a few of the others as well. I don't know if I'm going to play Welcome to the Sparkleverse tonight, though, because it just gets in my head. It's too much of an earworm even for me to handle. I usually have to get everyone new. Whenever I hear the Sparkleverse song, I then have to play We Knew to get the Sparkleverse song out of my head because it's too fucking catchy. Yes, Paradise by the Dashboard Light, yes. But thank you, everybody. Again, Wednesday, Thursday this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week, all 8 p.m. Central. If there's anything that changes, I will let y'all know. But again, you do not want to miss next Tuesday. I'm just saying that. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I'm sure you will laugh. You will enjoy it. That being said, hope you all have a great rest of your night. If you haven't liked the stream so far, please make sure to do so on the way out. Help the algorithm. Go check out some of the videos. If you haven't subscribed, do that as well. We're trying to get subscriptions up to make sure, and it's free to do. It's free to subscribe on YouTube. Follow over on Twitch. Free to subscribe on YouTube. Thank you all so very much for joining. We will see you back here in 2 days. Appreciate y'all. Have a good night. Peace.
He said nobody who healthcare could be so complicated. The Obamacare debate was 6 months litigated. Years of med school debt got capitalized. Insurance claim forms so high they nearly capsized. But he wouldn't know the frustration of trying to get prior authorization. Everybody knew, the whole world knew, the doctors, the lawyers, the CBO crew. Oh, 30,000 pages of ready review. It wasn't a big secret. We knew. He said people don't realize Obama deported, but the porter-in-chief is what La Raza retorted. Obama went after the violent folks and felons, Trump nabbed the dishwashers and people picking melons. But Donald's argument shows that he's not very bright. If Obama made some wrongs, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Everybody knew, the whole world knew. Univision, AP, the fact check crew. Oh, acting all surprised that the sky is blue. It wasn't no secret. We knew. He asked who knew a virus could be so contagious. Virologist blinked at someone so outrageous. He was surprised at how many countries existed. No wonder when the virus spread, either one who missed it spread a map, slit red in every deadly hue. World Health Memo said we already knew. Everybody knew. Oh, the whole world knew. Oh, the lab coats, the leaders, and we were with the flu. Oh, the nations of the world, more than 192. It wasn't a big secret. We knew. You unveiled oxygen like contraband air. Like 6 there. You sat down, claiming to discover chairs. War called money was its big surprise. Iraq has oil. Can you believe your eyes? He said, we are divided. A surprise to no one thinking. And he was most surprised. A Republican was Lincoln. Christians, the Muslims, atheists, and the Jews. Like being shot, they have animals at the zoo. It wasn't a big secret. We knew. Everybody knew. Everybody knew. Everybody knew. Everybody knew.
Trump piled debt, trillions tall. Promised Mexico would fund that wall. Praised dictators, said they're strong. Had Joe done it, they'd say he's wrong. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, they'd scream foul play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Goes through crises, storms, and war. Called soldiers losers who died in war. Hire his kids to run D.C. If it was Hunter, they'd scream treachery. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, Fox News would say I'd vague. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Love Kim Jong-un, he wrote love letters that take the guns first, lose those rights forever. Signed you spending bills with glee. Had Joe done that, it'd be tyranny. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they child up today. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Kept secret files, countless untold. Said Putin's word was good as gold. Invited the Taliban to come to U.S. soil. If Joe had done that, they'd all recoil. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd want him to pay. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Double standards loud and clear. Rules for Trump, but not for peers. What they call treason, if Joe's the name, is patriotism when Donald's to blame. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd shout no way. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
Obama and Bush's pictures got hidden, obscuring the past, history rewritten. Hung in a hallway where no tour can see, confirming his unending fragility. If Trump can't see it, you must not exist. That also includes the Epstein List, object permanence, a milestone missed. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Stop the testing was the line that he said. Hundreds of thousands needlessly dead. Now HHS is run by brainworm quack, hiding the truth behind his back. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein List, an administration run by narcissists. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Boxes of documents documents stacked floor to the wall, top secret folders in a bathroom stall. Charges were pressed, but the case was dropped. A corrupt judicial system he can co-opt. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Else includes the Epstein List. He'll swear it's fake news, a liberal twist. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Campus downtown, tents lining the street. Invisible people that power won't beat. Hide them away so the cameras can't find the proof of a system that's cold and unkind. A payout in secret, an NDA sign, an illegal bribe. Michael Cohen fine. Trump got fined too over his gag order, but she didn't gag, cause he was much shorter. If you can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein List. We can't let him win, we must resist. If Trump can't see